Morning and welcome to Nikki from the Child and Family Center. How you doing today?
Good. Good morning.
We had a big event recently.
It was fabulous. Taste of the Town.
Taste of the Town. Tell me how it went.
It was wonderful. Yeah, we had well over 1,000 people and 35 restaurants, wineries, breweries out there, really having a huge fun party. Mark Levang and friends were there. We had KTLA and Chris Schabel was our MC.
Love Chris Schabel.
Yes, did a fabulous job. And more importantly, we really were able to raise some much needed funding for Child and Family Center. It's our biggest event of the year for fundraising. So we really just thank everyone that came out and supported us.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm so happy for you and the organization. This month is Mental Health Awareness Month. Now,
Yes.
what does that mean to us?
Yeah, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to come on and talk about this. So it's a National Awareness Month around mental health awareness. And it's really to encourage people to start having the conversation and the dialogue with themselves, with their loved ones, their children around mental health. It's so stigmatized. People, think it's a shameful or some sort of moral failing, if they're feeling depression or anxiety or anything like that. So this is really an opportunity to let people know that it is okay to talk about it. We should be talking about it. And more importantly, if you're feeling depressed, anxious, any sort of suicidal thoughts, to ask for help, reach out and ask for help.
We have come a long way.
Yes.
I must admit, Nikki, because when I was a kid, I used to watch TV shows, and they would say, I don't think we called them therapists when I was a kid. It was like psychologists or psychiatrists.
Shrinks. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I don't need that. I don't need to go to it was that what we put on it, as a bad thing.
Yes.
And there has been so much, life is hard.
Yes.
Life is hard. There are some wonderful moments in life.
Right.
And then there's just stuff.
Life. Yeah.
And sometimes you need help with your roadmap.
Right. Absolutely.
And there is no shame.
Right.
And you have to reach out. How do you know to reach out though? Like, when do you get to the point where you go, oh, I'm having a rough week too. This has turned into a rough 6 months, a year. Like, when is that cutoff where you go, I need to reach out for help?
Yeah, great question. And it's going to be different for everyone, right? And what we do know is that depending on the research that you look at, 1 in 4 to 1 in 5 children are experiencing some sort of mental health challenge. And that's everything from depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, self-harm.
Children,
eating disorders.
What age range are we talking when we say children?
Children. So the latest research says that children between the ages of 5 to 11, that has exponentially increased in terms of having to go to the emergency room due to suicidal thoughts or attempts. So we're talking about little kids here, right? And that's heartbreaking when you think about it, because we often just think of adults. And so, when we're talking with children and you see behavioral changes, kids withdrawing, saying things like, it'd be better off if I wasn't here, or what do I matter? Because kids can't necessarily say, I'm depressed, because they might not know really what that term means at 5 or 6 years old. So really paying attention to those behavioral changes and reaching out to a doctor, to a therapist. There's the 988 suicide lifeline that people can call. That's free, 24 hours a day in English and in Spanish. You don't have to try and self-diagnose. We shouldn't have to wait too long to reach out and ask for help.
We are good at that, though. We do have Google.
Yeah.
We're getting better. Let's go back to the kids for a second, because this has kind of blown me away a little bit. Because, as we become young adults and we have more responsibilities and more things are put on our shoulder and we've got to deal with all that stuff that we're calling, sometimes life can get a little bit heavy.
Yes.
But to say children between 5 and 11 have kind of these thoughts, is it something that outside stimuli has a part in when kids go to school? Maybe they're being bullied, or they feel left out.
Yes, absolutely.
Or, when I was a kid, I don't know if you have heard this saying, but I remember if someone got into a fight, and it could be the friends or even like parents.
Yeah.
And they would, I wish you were never born.
Yes. Yeah. Kids internalize that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Right? That's a big thing.
Yeah.
That's like a big rock.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
To say that. And you can say stuff in the heat of the moment, but boy, does that have an impact.
It really does.
Especially in children. So outside stimuli and outside factors play into this. And we have to be aware as parents and teachers and just adults in general, how we handle this going forward with children.
Yeah.
We have to learn how to use words a little bit better. It's society's changed a lot since I was a kid. When I was a kid, tough it out.
Right.
Stop. And I would be told a lot, and God bless it. Look I'm not blaming parents and teachers, but both told me, stop crying.
Yes.
Stop your crying.
Yeah. What good's that going to do? Crying gets you nothing.
And we've come to learn that crying is a great release.
Absolutely.
It's a fantastic release. Sometimes it builds up and it needs to be released.
Yeah.
And we've learned that over, the last couple of decades. So the Child and Family Center, how can they help us during this month where we kind of just take a moment and think about our mental health, maybe the mental health of our kids, family members, friends. How will the Child and Family Center help us?
Yeah, so Child and Family Center, we've been out in the community at a lot of schools and a lot of events this month and many more to come where we're, helping teachers and parents and grandparents, caregivers of any, kids of any age, really help them to understand and pay attention to some warning signals that we should know about. But then also in the schools, going in there and talking to the kids around, healthy ways to express your emotions in a healthy way, when to reach out, but also some of those things like being aware of the words that we use, how we talk to people, making sure that we're paying attention to our kids' social media if they are being bullied, like you said.
And sometimes we don't know. See, that's an element that sometimes we don't know about because social media, from kids to adults, hide behind a keyboard, and it's not good. It's not good. Social media can be wonderful and can be a wonderful tool.
Right.
And it can also be like borderline evil.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we have to be careful because we don't know if our kids are being bullied online.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is. It's a almost a necessary evil, right? We spend so much time on social media, but like you said, we just don't always know what's being told to our kids in those, text messages or DMs or anything like that. So again, it's really checking in with the kid, offering up as many of what we call protective factors for kids, right? So social bonding with families, making sure that they're involved and engaged in their community, a sports club, arts, theater, something like that. When we see the isolation and in the withdrawal in kids and adults, that's usually a sign that it's time to pay attention and do some intervention there.
Definitely a red flag.
Yes.
It is Mental Health Awareness Month. Yes. Child and Family Center is here in the Santa Clarita Valley to help us get through this and acknowledge what we may or may not see ourselves.
Right. Yeah.
We might not see it through no fault of our own, depending on how we were raised, and that's why you're here.
Yes.
Let's draw some attention to it. Let's take out how do we finally, that last leap of taking the stigma off of this issue. How do we do that, Nikki?
Yeah, I think it's happening slowly over time, just like you said.
It's a slow simmer, isn't it?
It is a slow simmer. And we see kids, teenagers, much more active and engaged in this conversation. And so that's what we see is really going to make the difference in the long run. Because as they, continue to grow older and it becomes more of I don't have to feel ashamed of the fact that I feel isolated or lonely or depressed and I've reached out for help. We really want to, normalize that for folks and let people know it's okay to do that.
I think more people are isolated and alone than you think.
Absolutely.
Because, again, social media, when you put on social media a picture of, look at all the fun I'm having, people looking onto that say, well, I'm not having that fun. I'm just watching TV at home by myself.
Right.
And then you feel bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have to be aware. We have to be aware that that's not real life. That's just something we do.
Right.
That's just a tool to have fun. And you're here to help us, the Child and Family Center. If we need to reach out to you and your colleagues, how do we do that?
Yeah, easiest way is to Google us, Child and Family Center here in Santa Clarita. You can hit our website. We have several different phone numbers. If you're experiencing domestic violence, we have a domestic violence hotline number. If you're in need of substance use counseling, we have an outpatient program for teens and young adults. You can call that number. And then, of course, our mainline number will get you to our front office folks, and they can help answer any questions for you.
Child and Family Center, for over 40 years, you have been there for us, yes. And we thank you so much. Childfamilycenter.org.
.org, yes.
Childfamilycenter.org. Nikki, always a pleasure having you in studio.
Thank you so much.
You don't need a